Round 3 of the Ninja A-League, and we're underway. And the chance to cut it back here to Chiara Di Demizio. An early shot. What a start for Canberra.
What a way for the girls in green to open this one.
Breaks right. Emily Condon. Near post. Flicked in. Adelaide United are on the winners list.
Laurie looking for victory against Sydney FC for the first time in 5.5 years. Tanner, the cutback, and in. Riley Tanner makes it to the Sydney FC.
It's the same city but a different venue as Melbourne Victory host the Central Coast Mariners. Langman out, great one-on-one save. The follow-up is in. Victory score. And in game 100, Rhianna Pollicina salutes.
Bathed in sunshine in New Zealand's capital. An opportunity here early. Goal's been given, and the Phoenix have an early lead to equalise. And she sends this in the wrong way. The Jets are back in the match. This one ends in a draw. Honours even.
Referee checking the watch, and we are underway in Brisbane. Out wide for Matos, Danica Matos. Back post run! The first shot was blocked, but now it's Price! The Western Sydney Wanderers have done it! That is why we love the dub.
Yes, it is why we love the dub. Couldn't have said it better ourselves, Taryn. Another wild week in the Ninja A-League. Hello and welcome to Dub Zone. I'm Amy Duggan, and as always, I welcome A-League's commentator Teo Pellizzeri, and a big welcome back to two-time Ninja A-League champion Teresa Polias. What a week!
It's great to be back. It's been a great week.
Yeah, it has. What was your favourite moment?
Oh, look, my moment of the round would have to be the Wanderers' late winner against Brisbane, ending their 8-game winless run. So that was a fantastic.
Did you just pick a crosstown rival?
I did. I've come a long way, Amy and Teo, and I did pick the Wanderers as my moment of the round.
My moment was in the grand final rematch. Rhianna Pollicina stepping up for her new team, Melbourne Victory, and delivering the match-winning goal. It was a game that needed a moment of inspiration, and two of the best creative players in the league, Rachel Lowe and Rhianna Pollicina, combined. It was a one-goal game and the sort of match that felt like first to score might win. So Victory get a measure of redemption. They don't get a trophy, but they do get 3 handy points.
There you go. Well, I went a little bit off script, as I always do, because we had a special guest with us last week in Bianca Garlich, and she managed to find the score sheet. So I am thinking that this is as a result of being on Dub Zone. We always ask our special guests to come in here, our analysts, and score us a goal when they leave, and she did. So thank you, Bianca.
Yeah, the halo effect, Amy, of
Yes.
coming on Dub Zone.
We'll have players lining up to come on now.
Yeah. Let's start with the Western Sydney Wanderers upset over Brisbane Roar at Perry Park. I couldn't believe this result, to be honest, Teo and Teresa, and the Wanderers really dominating. You covered the winner, obviously, as your favourite moment, but what else can we pinpoint out of this one?
Yeah, I thought it was a great game performance from the Wanderers. I thought they had a few nervy moments early with Kuilamu's chance especially, but they found their composure and they ended up dominating the first half. So, yeah, brilliant overall performance, and then managed to find a way to score a winner up in Brisbane. So really good stuff from the Wanderers.
It was a much improved defensive performance as we get into the footage of how the Wanderers stopped Brisbane Roar from being able to continue with 3 goals a game like the first 2 weeks. Because Brisbane Roar were coming in great form. We were speaking about the likes of Tameki Yallop and Benti Jansen, their key players. Well, Wanderers, they had their own neutralising factor in this game. A very committed defence and the midfield hustle of Amy Chessari, marking Tameki Yallop, denying an early shot. Even though she picked up a booking and Kuilamu's pace was a major headache for the Wanderers, Chessari played with real discipline on a booking all the way through the second half. This is the sort of combative work we've become used to seeing from her, winning the ball back in midfield, breaking even in a 50-50 in order to spill possession back in favour of her team. And then late in the game, it's the willingness to come back, win the ball, and then there was one really important moment late in the match. Benti Jansen had one shot off target earlier in the half. Who's marking Benti here? It's Chessari, right on her case, top of the box, stopping her get a shot away. Now, it's not just about one player. It's about the full-back play of Danica Matos and Ella Buchanan. Alana Cern and Poppy Hooks were much better in the middle than the first 2 games. Wanderers had conceded 7 goals coming into this, but they were committed, and I really think that the footage we've seen there typifies their approach to fighting fighting for everything in this match.
Yeah, look, Chessari, we know what she brings to their team and how important she is to the Wanderers, and she's doing Chessari things, you know, and it's great to see a player often in those positions. It's a thankless job, and she's being, you know, applauded for it, and so she should. And taking that yellow card for the team as well, she's kind of maturing in that sort of, you know, the street smart side of the game as well, which is great to see. But I've got to say the back line were fantastic. You know, Matos was working up and down that right side. Cern, her distribution was fantastic, and she was so well organised, and Buchanan as well, like the same. So that unit is going really well, and I love the fact that Harrison's able to be pushed up the field now. I think they need her in the midfield, linking up with the likes of, you know, Kim up there as well. So really good to see.
Well, shall we hear from one of the goal scorers in Olivia Price after her last-minute winner?
I think we've always been a team that, we need to believe in ourselves to play well. And I think despite the score in the first 2 games, I don't think we'll fire off. And, Brisbane are a good side, so we wanted to challenge them and match up. And, it's good to come away with a win today.
Well, Olivia Price there, as you saw, with that late match winner, and pretty happy about it. Kim So-eun, as we discussed, the Korean import, had a huge impact on this game too.
Yeah, great signing from the Wanderers. I mean, she's technically a very good player, which is what the Wanderers need going forward. She's explosive, quick off the mark, obviously good on the ball, and able to go 1v1 when she doesn't have the support around her, but equally really good at linking up with the players around her, like Harrison, Olivia Price when she comes on, Talia Eunice. So very, very handy player. I'm really looking forward to seeing more from her.
And this is the key to Wanderers, not simply settling for one win. The wooden spoon team ultimately ends up winning 4 or 5 games every season. Wanderers are off the mark, that's great. But how are they actually going to climb above teams in this league and make sure that they win somewhere, you know, towards a break-even 10 wins probably gets you into the finals, given that it's 6 out of 11 this season. They still haven't had their Chinese imports, Yuan Kong and Wang Ying, arrive, recommended by the Chinese national team coach, Australian Ante Milicic.
Great.
And the Wanderers have been patient because they are quietly confident that, like Kim So-eun, their foreigners are worth the wait, and that while other teams wanted players who were here for round 1, they want the best foreigners in the league. So far so good, but it is only 1 win, and we need to see that level of commitment and dedication and fight every week if they're going to be a consistent
and finishing
contender.
Chances. That's the biggest thing out of it all. They're creating the chances, but in particular Casper, she needs to put them away.
Good point. Shall we turn our attention to Brisbane? Because I think it was a pretty tough outing for them, and their coach, Alex Smith, well, his face pretty much said it all. The frustration, a little bit tense, that I can't believe this is happening. Was it a bad day at the office, or is this signs of a few more things that need to be worked on?
A little different to last season, where I felt they peaked early in the competition and then sort of faded away later on. So, look, you can see in Alex Smith's reaction, he's not at all happy, and they're probably bitterly disappointed with the loss, and the overall performance was not where they need to be.
How much of this is mental? They were flying top of the league, about to go into bye week against a winless team, and how much of this is the actual tactical setup and the way Wanderers stifled and frustrated them? I mean, I actually said on this show last week, I'm looking forward to seeing what Matos and Buchanan do against the likes of Sian Fryer. I mean, the point of saying it's a test is tests can be passed, and Wanderers passed with flying colours, and Brisbane didn't.
Yeah, they didn't. They certainly didn't pass the psychological test, I thought. Credit to the Wanderers. I think they frustrated Brisbane out of this game, and, you know, you saw errors like that from Sian Fryer. We don't ever see that. And later in the match, the longer it went, the harder Brisbane found it to open them up and score, and the Wanderers' confidence grew. So I put that down to the way the Wanderers set up and approached the match and delivered and executed their game plan.
Well done, Wanderers, and back to the drawing board for Brisbane, but they'll have a week to work it all out. We'll turn focus now to the grand final rematch, where the Melbourne Victory got some revenge over Central Coast Mariners, thanks to Rhianna Pollicina. Set up as the match to watch this weekend, a satisfying one for Victory fans and also for Pollicina, who brought up a pretty special milestone, Teo.
Yes, a goal in her 100th match, 32 career goals now for Rhianna Pollicina. I'm not sure there's a player who better typifies persistence, personal belief, a great support network, and also the value of working on your game. This milestone is special for Rhianna Pollicina, not just because it's 100 games, not just because Victory won, but because she was out of this league for years. She got a little taste, just 5 games at the Western Sydney Wanderers in the 14-15 season, and she was out until the 2020-21 season. For most players, that's your time in the National League over, but Rhianna Pollicina is a blueprint for everyone who is going back to NPL pre-season, who's maybe had a little taste or been overlooked in their teenage years, to say, Pollicina's done it, I believe in myself, I can do it too.
Well, it's a fine example of, players, being knocked down and coming back. And I think that her example specifically can be used from players now and in the future, that you'd never give up, because she went away, worked on her game, finally got a shot at Newcastle, absolutely killed it there, was the best player, and then moved on from there. And it was mind-boggling to me last season not seeing her getting minutes at City. Just crazy. And I was hoping she'd come back home to the original Sky Blue team, but didn't happen. But look, she's, to her credit, gone to a crosstown rival and is now killing it again. So I'm really enjoying watching her this season.
And she has such a wicked shot. It's wonderful to see them hit the back of the net. Let's talk about the Mariners, though, because 2 weeks in a row going down in Melbourne. What has happened?
Teresa, you and I were on the commentary for this game, and pre-season, I flagged that creativity might be an issue for the Mariners, and against a defence like Victory, of course, it's going to be. But one thing that I don't think they made the most of was set pieces. And we're going to look at some of the free kicks in the corners here. They have a legitimate weapon in Liz Gray, who's one of the great exponents of winning headers and scoring from headers, but they just didn't put the ball in a way that allowed it to contend for the ball. How much more work did the Mariners need to do on maximising their free kicks and corners, especially if they're going to be taking wide, long-range free kicks, rather than playing the ball quickly and continuing the build-up play?
Yeah, well, it was Avani Prakash on those free kicks pretty much every single time, and I think they need to mix up who's taking the free kick as well. I like to see Prakash from closer range. I think when they had set pieces closer, she was able to get it more on goal and on target. But yeah, they've got to hit Liz Barwick-Gray. That is their key player off those set pieces, corners as well, and they just were not putting it in the areas that they needed to, and that's wasteful.
Not to put too fine a point on the set pieces then, did you see enough in open play to really suggest that the Mariners were threatening often enough? And is it a case where they've come up against the top 2 from last season, maybe they will fancy their chances against the rest of the league, or do they have legitimate concerns about scoring goals after they really whet the appetite by putting 3 in the net in round 1?
I thought they did well to deal with the early pressure. I really thought Victory were going to keep peppering them with balls up top to Kennedy White, but they got organised. Liz Barwick-Gray really led them from the back. They found their composure as well, and then they had the swing of momentum a lot in that game. I think the problem for the Mariners is going forward at times. They sort of persist when there's no options forward. Janaea Dos Santos just sort of losing a bit of patience and persisting with the forward shot or the pass when they could have rolled out, kept possession, opened things up elsewhere. But yeah, there were bright spots for the Mariners, but I think there's a bit they need to work on going forward.
I'll agree with you, Tay. I think the delivery of set pieces and especially off corners just wasn't where it needed to be. You even saw in the final one there, it just floats into the back of the box, which is obviously a set piece to hit someone on the edge of the box. That ball's got to be delivered with pace and with power and hit the target, not just floated through the air where the defenders can come out and attack it. And it doesn't get any easier for them this weekend because they're taking on Sydney FC. It will certainly be interesting to see how they bounce back, but let's hear from the woman of the moment, Rhianna Pollicina.
It's been great. The club's been great. The girls have been great, and it's made a smooth transition. Obviously, my time at City was great as well. But yeah, I'm just happy to be back playing football and being confident again and being backed by supportive coaches and supportive staff here, as well as supportive players as well.
And what a way to bring up a ton. Fantastic stuff. Time now to welcome A-League's reporter Narlene Masto to shine a light on some of our Ninja A-League stars. And we're going to head to Adelaide first. Narlene, welcome.
Thanks, Amy, and we sure are, because they picked up their first win of the season. And one of the key players in this team over the years has been their captain, Isabel Hodgson. We sat down with her in pre-season to hear a bit of the fond memories she had when she was first entering the competition.
Alana Janchevsky tumbling into the box, and the equaliser is there for Izzy Hodgson.
My debut was Western Sydney away, and I remember feeling sick before I went on the field because I was terrified. And then I remember at the time Ross Aloisi was my coach, If anyone knows the Aloysius, they're like going hard, and the first tackle I just absolutely annihilated somebody and she got stretchered off. So don't find that.
And Adelaide get their goal! Isabel Hodgson, her first of the season.
My first ever start, I remember my name was starting at right back and I had never played a game of defence in my life. So I was about to start as a right fullback against Sydney FC after never playing defence before, and I wanted to die. At the time I had Melissa Barbieri in goals behind me. If anyone's listened to her before, she just speaks the entire time. And I remember just being like, she would say move one step to the left and I would just be like, yep. The career highlight would be captaining the team to the first ever final series. You know, from being a 17-year-old to think that I was captaining the team to the final just would have never crossed my mind back then. So that would be one. And then the other would be when we broke the standalone attendance record in front of my home crowd and I scored a goal.
Could be here for Adelaide and the crowd goes wild. That is the equaliser. Isabel Hodgson again on the mark.
Because I'm a local Adelaide girl, my whole family was in the stands, so that was another great memory. I think for a long time when you do it for so many years, you kind of forget of what a privilege it is, and I think from having to sit in the stands and watch my team play for such a long time, now I just don't take any training or any game for granted. Every time a girl asks for a photo or a signature, I'll always go out my way to do so because, you know, soon they're not going to care who I am, so I'm going to take it while I can.
Don't worry, Isabel, we care who you are, and I'm sure they will as well. I mean, so often we come on the panel and talk about 14-year-olds debuting in the competition, but let's not forget about the experienced heads who really help nurture the players coming through. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how important you think the players are to really help a lot of the youngsters.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned it. They're so important to raise the standards and the culture, and I think Adelaide do a great job of building an identity, having their senior players staying around for so long, like Hodgson. I think she's done an incredible job over the years, and I think the way Adelaide have the journey of their club from the beginning, where it was almost, you know, I don't mean to sound rude to say this, but almost a guaranteed win at the start against Adelaide, and now they've got such a good squad and players keep coming back and they're good enough to be, you know, challenging for the championship every season.
Well, in Adelaide, there have been a whole lot of stalwarts that have been with the club since their debut as youngsters right through to now captaining the squad like Izzy. And I think, you know, that's part of this experience, that you know what you need as a young player when you become the older players. But it got me thinking about things like culture within the teams, like standards on the park and also off the park and at training. Having that experience of being there and doing it and then coming back and being the leader rather than the learner. And you would know this as a captain, T, because as a young player, you look up to your captain for some sort of guidance when things aren't going well on the park, and they're the ones that can lift you out of it. So I think players like Izzy do all of these things.
Totally. And has there been any players when you guys were playing where they really helped you in your early days and you felt comfortable you could go to them for any advice?
Yeah, look, one of my earliest memories of going into the New South Wales Institute of Sport when it was open and you had Matildas training, and I was a young, tiny 14, 15-year-old, and I remember after one session doing sprints and, you know, I'm scared, you know, I'm about to do fitness with all these Matildas alongside me, and all it took was Lena Karmas to look at me and say, "You're doing great today, we've got this," and I just felt, the weight came off me.
A few inches.
I grew a few inches, which was great, and I just felt like I belonged there, and yeah, I quickly rose to being a senior player, so hopefully I helped youngsters to do that. But all it took was a few, you know, encouraging words.
Yeah, I think it's about the belief, a belief in self, but also the belief from other people around you to make you feel like you belong in that environment. And probably not so much when you first enter the Matildas as a 16 or 17-year-old and there's players that have been there for a long time, but certainly in your hometown where there are senior players. For me, that was Julie Murray, Carly Pumper, Angie Bean, that had played for Australia and had then brought those lessons back to where we were training on a daily basis. And to hear those words of encouragement, build a little bit more self-belief in you, and I think that helps you make that transition a lot easier.
It goes a long way, doesn't it? And You mentioned the Matildas there, and that's been a bit of a topic of conversation this week because we saw their head coach Joe Montemuro actually in attendance at that grand final rematch between Melbourne Victory and the Mariners. And we saw also the squad that's come out for that 2-match international series with New Zealand. 4 Ninja A-League players have been called up, and also 7 A-League players named in the Football Fern squad as well. Now, Teo, coming to you on this, do you think there are any players you would have liked to see perhaps be included?
Oh, I mean, you could have a half dozen, absolutely. But I think they're going to play the hits, you know. This is kind of the World Cup 2023 tribute tour. Is it going to survive until 2027 or even to the 2032 Olympics? I mean, don't rule it out. We saw Marta, we saw Christine Sinclair. I mean, they were still going by the 2023 World Cup. So, you know, this group's going to hold on and they've got a nice hierarchy in place. And, you know, the challengers are going to have to bide their time. It's good that Joe knows who they are and he's watching, but they're going to have to wait for an opportunity at a later date. And, you know, the fans want to see the favourites and they'll be very popular and they're Australia's heroes.
This is going to be the final hit out before the Asian Cup. What are you hoping to see, if any, improvements when it comes to style of play and just signs that you know that we can take on some of Asia's best come March?
Yeah, look, it's getting very close, isn't it? So you're wanting to see the team gelling a lot more than we did in the last fixtures. So no doubt it's going to be a really intense camp for the players. And I guess, yeah, what we want to see out there is whoever comes in, fitting in seamlessly, and we want to see, the systems of play coming together.
You also want to see the players that are coming in and don't normally start putting some pressure on that starting side so that they're feeling the intensity of being there and that little bit of competition for spots as well. Like, nothing should be guaranteed.
Oh, I think the Matildas feel as though the media pits the players against each other too often. They've got the starters, they've got comfortable backups. Let's just let it play out. They're going down this path for a reason. Let them go down the path they've chosen.
I think, Teo, we've been through this, though. You can't win a tournament that you play, you know, game after game after game with just 13 or 14 players. You do need to, and we see this with all the successful teams, you do need to be able to rely on the fullest squad, which means those players need to be getting minutes as well.
You mentioned Marta as a name. I mean, you can't, one Marta, that's rare enough. You can't have 4 or 5 Martas, you know, approaching that end of their career trying to win tournaments. It just doesn't happen. So I agree with Amy on this one, Teo. I think, I think we need to see more of the younger stock of players coming through, battling for those spots. And you know what? Themselves taking it and taking the game by the scruff of the neck and getting out there and making things happen.
Looking forward to watching them in action and hopefully good things to come next year. Now, there was an 18-year-old that took the internet by storm, Danella Butrus from Melbourne City in their AFC Women's Champions League game. She pulled off this outrageous rainbow flick in just her 4th professional game. She's getting more minutes in that competition than she would in the A-Leagues. But guys, does this remind you of any youngsters you've seen who've been able to pull off a skill like that at such a high level?
It's obvious the players who watch football and the players who play football. Because Danella Butrus, she is a baller. She gets up early and she watches the games. I mean, you don't go for skills like this unless you've seen someone else try them and you want to replicate them yourself. And that was just awesome.
That was audacious and really good to see her with the confidence. She's only played a game in the A-League so early in her career, but she's obviously happy and having fun where she's at, and it's nice to see a player out there showing their creativity and making it happen on the pitch.
It also says a lot about the culture of not being afraid to make mistakes and to be brave and to be creative and to try something like this. But yeah, having the Kanakas to go out there and do it on a pitch in an AFC match, good on her.
I was going to say, it's so important for coaches to not kind of try and take that out of a young player, for them to have the confidence to pull that off on the big stage. So yeah, hope to see more of her.
Yeah, we do. Could have been my moment of the week, shouldn't it? Anyway, thank you, Nolene. We'll catch up with you next week.
Thanks, Amy.
Right, let's hear now from Danella Butrus after that amazing rainbow flick.
It's an incredible feeling scoring your first professional goal, and I wouldn't want to score it for any other team other than Melbourne City. So really happy to be here, and I couldn't have ever done it if my team wasn't behind me.
Yeah, obviously tournament football, it's different. You've got to kind of back up 3 days after and then again 3 days after. But no, everyone who came on, we've got a few debuts there. No, we're very lucky to have the depth in the squad that we do.
Holly McNamara talking about the depth in their Melbourne City squad. She played 30 minutes of that game, but before that, Danella Butrus after that wonderful debut goal in the Champions League. Pretty wonderful. Melbourne doing it easy in the AFC Champions League. 12 goals in 2 games at the moment. They went down in pens last year. They've got to be looking to go one better.
Yeah, well, they will get through the group, and this tournament falling a month later than last season is why we're seeing such one-sided scorelines. This was Alexia Apostolakis scoring the pick of the 12 goals that they've put in the net so far. I think they're actually playing a tougher group than last season, but last season those games were their first 3. This season they've had 2 in the league, extra month of training, and that's why they look so sharp. But Tokyo Verdy Bellezza already through, Naegohyang of North Korea and Suwon of South Korea, along with the team that beat them on penalties, Wuhan, might all be waiting in the knockout rounds. So getting their hands on $1 million plus in prize money.
Almost 2, I think it is.
Well, if you win the whole thing, yes.
huge.
But it's going to be that much tougher this year because there wasn't a North Korean presence last year. This season there is. So the knockout rounds, they might get tough right from the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I think so far so smooth. I think the next match will be a bit of a test. But yeah, those later knockout rounds will be certainly be a test for City. But what great motivation there. The $2 million prize money, that's fantastic.
Well, they will close out their group stage at 11 p.m. on Wednesday against Ho Chi Minh City. If you want to be a night owl and get up and watch that one, you can do so on the AFC's YouTube channel. Back to the Ninja A-League, though, and we're going to chat about Canberra because for the 3rd week in a row, they have led and lost.
Well, I mean, they have 1 point from a possible 9 and they've dropped 8 from winning positions. This was the first 30 seconds. Chiara Di Demizio scores before going off with a hamstring injury that will, unfortunately for her, rule her out for 3 to 4 weeks. Adelaide, you see the clock here, about a quarter of the way through the game. Emily Condon equalises and then Adelaide would score the only goal in the second half. But before we talk Adelaide, Teresa, I'm not throwing out the baby with the bathwater for Canberra.
No.
To take the lead in 3 different games showed that they're cohesive enough. They're creative enough, but they need a 90-minute performance
They do.
in order to close it out from a winning position.
Yeah, and then we spoke about that last season as well. There were times there where, we see a great start to the match and it's just holding out for that 90 minutes and continuing to produce chances and getting Heyman on the ball to finish, chances as well, really important.
I think this game showed the value of Bethany Gordon. She missed it sick, and just the week before we were talking about how Adelaide stifled Sydney's midfield. Part of being overrun in this game was that the game was very scrappy. Neither team could string together passes. Adelaide win it from a set piece. But Canberra need the presence of Bethany Gordon both to win the ball back and also to help them retain possession rather than turning it into a transitional game.
Yeah, she's certainly a key player. She wins ball, she breaks up the attack of the other team and is able to distribute it forward. So she's certainly an important player. My issue with Canberra is not at all their squad. I think they've got a good enough squad to beat anybody. It's just maintaining that over the 90 minutes is their issue at the moment.
Well, let's move on to Wellington, who've been hit by the injury bus, really, haven't they? Alyssa Whinham going down on the weekend. It looked pretty nasty concerning seeds. Nothing confirmed, I don't think yet, but it looks like a knee. It's their 3rd home game to start the season after the bye in the first round, and so far only a couple of points to show. How have you seen the start to their season?
Well, it's almost getting to the point, even this early, that it's impossible to judge due to the injury list. Lucia Leon hasn't appeared after bringing in an injury from pre-season. Neither has Tiana Javer. Tessel Middag, 45 minutes in round 1, and now out long-term with a non-ACL knee injury. At least that's what the Kiwi journos are reporting over there. If Whinham is out, they lose a lot of their creativity, and they are reaching deeper and deeper. They're giving starting debuts to young players. They're bringing on other, even younger players off the bench. So I'm not going to give them an out because it is a long season and you can get players back, but it's making them very difficult to assess because they're so far away from their best 11 at the moment.
They are, that casualty list at the moment's tough. It's a tough period for Wellington and I think they're doing their best to keep up with everyone and hopefully Whinham's okay. She's a really important player to them.
The biggest out of all at the weekend, no Samba. I guess to pick up again a knee injury, indeterminate length out, and she's the point of the spear. Samba is the star that teased us in that game against Canberra about potentially more goals on the way.
Well, this is why we're so happy with a longer season now as well, because you know what, when these players do come back, there will be enough time and rounds for them to recover.
Well, let's hope so. Sydney FC, let's go there next. The goalkeeper roundabout just keeps moving on. Tiana Robertson back in the sticks on the weekend.
I thought she was brilliant between the sticks for Sydney. I thought they were under the pump early from Perth. Perth did really well and I felt the stoppages really helped Sydney and hindered Perth in that game.
Teo, is she their number one?
You know what? The only goalkeeper that hasn't appeared on the matchday team sheet yet this season, Sophia Fonte, I think she's their number one, but that's because I'm an NPL nerd who grinds a heap of footage over winter. They had Elise Oppadesano, their fourth choice keeper, on the bench. Heather Hin's out with a shoulder injury. You know what? They've had 2 clean sheets in a row. The rotating goalkeeper carousel is not so bad when you're winning and when you're not conceding any goals.
Yeah, and we know when Sydney are winning that Ante doesn't tend to change things. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tiana keeps the spot, whether Hins is fit and ready. And I think she's doing great.
And what about the Jacaranda jersey? Are we keeping that?
I like it.
I like it too.
I like it.
Maybe
I want
not
to wear
for
it
every
for my
week,
next
but-
jersey day at school. How about that?
Get one for you, Teo?
No, I'm impartial.
Okay.
Teo doesn't like Sydney, we know this.
Let's go to Newcastle, undefeated to start the season, eyeing off the Wanderers this weekend, and with a win could find themselves at the top of the table.
Look, it's a real credit to the Jets that they've kind of gone under the radar a bit, T.
Yeah.
Melina Reyes scored from the penalty spot as their only goal of the weekend, so that's a bit of pressure off her. The Kiwi imports, Anna Leet in goal in particular.
Yep.
We were expecting an upgrade, but it looks as though Leet is really giving the Jets a bit of confidence to build on into this new campaign.
Yeah, they're slowly going about their business, aren't they? They haven't lost the game, which is great. I think it's one of their better starts they've had in recent years. So I think the Jets are slowly building their confidence and could certainly be a dark horse.
But not enough for you to put one of their players in your team of the week.
Yeah, not yet. I'm not convinced just yet.
Well, let's talk through it then. Who has made it?
Who has made it? I put Tiana Robertson, Sydney number one, in there. I've got Fenton. I think she's been incredible at the back. Matilda McNamara and Janchevsky at the back. I've kept it to 3 defenders only. I've stacked the midfield, and up top I thought Greta Krajula was excellent against the Victory in breaking up the play. Pollicina speaks for herself. Kim So-eun, fantastic for the Wanderers, and Emma Tova was great for Perth as well.
Wanderers kept their first clean sheet in 27 games. February 2024. You couldn't find a single Wanderers defender to say well done on finally keeping a clean sheet.
Look, you got a point there, Teo. Look, I've come a long way. They were my moment of the round. I've got Kim So-eun in there. How much more can I give, Teo? Feel free to come up with your own team of the week.
Yeah, I came up with my team of the week last week and got so much grief from it that I think we're going to handball it back to you.
I'm happy with my team.
How about performer of the week then, Teo? Who was your performer of the week?
Well, I think we have to look to the Wanderers because the reason I'm advocating for them so much is Danica Matos started the game with the head bandage on, tribute to John Eales here, but it was no imposition for her. We know that she is a tough one-on-one defender. She had some attacking contributions. Wanderers in a position here where Ella Buchanan, the left-back, has made the Opta team of the week 3 weeks in a row. Danica Matos was the clear standout in this game, contributing in attack. There's Buchanan with the assist for the winning goal. But it was marking Sian Fryer, being able to push the other way, leadership, composure, organisation. Danica Matos, well done. And they needed it, given that they did concede 7 goals in the first 2 games. This was a great flag in the ground, and a bit like my other performers of the week, this needs to be the level. This can't be a one-off. This has to be every week.
Well, you can look forward to seeing them again on Saturday when they line up against the Newcastle Jets. A reminder, the Jets win this one, they go top of the table. There's some connotations there, but there you have it. Newcastle Jets Wanderers Saturday afternoon. An hour later, Canberra and Perth clash at Mackellar Park. The Phoenix at home again, this time to Melbourne Victory. Sydney FC hosting the Central Coast Mariners, and midweek make-up in December. Their Melbourne City game has been moved against Adelaide to the 17th of December, not this week due to the AFC Women's Champions League commitments. Match of the round?
I put 2 teams, Canberra and Perth, in my top 6 pre-season. If they draw with each other, they're going to have 1 win between them from 8 total games. So I just hope there's a winner either way because they hurt each other if they draw.
I'm looking forward to the Jets-Wanderers match. So the Jets, quietly going about their business, and I'd love to see the Wanderers back it up.
I'm going to go Sydney and the Central Coast because there's nothing quite like the Freeway Derby to get the blood boiling. You know, two teams that don't really like each other that much. No problems here on the panel though. We love each other and we love you watching. Teo Pellizzeri, Teresa Polias, thank you for your time on Dub Zone this week. And thank you for watching Dub Zone as well. Make sure you get out there, put your bum on a seat at one of the games. And if you're not doing that, get on Paramount Plus and watch all the Ninja A-League action across the weekend. I'm Amy Duggan. We'll be back with Dub Zone next week.